Servus and welcome everyone. Today I want to have a look with you at a solo of leaves to be precise, which we played as the playing party sitting at the bottom of the table. I'm sorry that I was a little late to the recording of the video, thus the ober of hearts is already lying in the center of the table for the first trick round. Think about it being in our hand as of now, because first of all we have a look at our hand and give a quick analysis why we are playing this solo. So for this solo we have a total of 7 trump cards, which is 3 obers, so the one in the center of the table, the ober of acorns and ober of bells, so we are just missing the ober of leaves, which is quite a strong start. Then we have 1 unter, the unter in bells, which is the lowest unter, and then we have 3 leaf cards. We are missing the ace in leaves, which is bad, because it would be nice to have the ace of leaves as a high points card, as a trump card as well. However, this is still strong, and we have 1 card in hearts, which now, because we announced the solo in leaves, is no longer a trump card, which becomes a suit card. And this is the only card which is a problem for us, because we can't take a trick with this card, or it's not expected to take a trick with this card because it's the lowest card in a suit. And it would be better to have an ace here, but well, that's not the case. Anyways, we still have a strong hand, 7 trump cards, and we are the first player to start the trick round, so let's see how this turns out. And as you can see, we already started the first trick round with the ober. Why did we play the ober in hearts? Well, we could also have played the ober in acorns or bells, doesn't really matter. The thing is, we do not have both point cards within the suit which we announced the solo in. So as I told you, we are missing the ace of leaves, which is the other high point card in the trump cards. And if we had that card, we would instead open up the trick round with the 9 of leaves, with the lowest trump card which we had, to pull out the remaining trump cards from the opponents, which would be other obers and unters. And since we don't have this high point trump card, we have to take a different approach and start with a high ober, or a high trump, so to speak, to draw out the last remaining ober which is on the table, which is the ober of leaves, and hope that within this trick another player which would have the ace of leaves can't play it, because either the ace of leaves is in the hand with the player who has also the ober of leaves, so he can't put it into the trick. Either he has to win the trick with the ober, or he has to put the ace in, so it's a gamble for him. Or the player with the ober of leaves is sitting late at the table, so from our position it's the right side of the table, so where the blue bar is. And if that's the case, the other players have to gamble if the ober of leaves is in the opposing party or not. So let's see how the first trick turns out. And as you can see, this is really starting bad for us, because on the left side, so the yellow player is giving in a king of hearts. And remember, we announced a solo in leaves. So obers, unters and leaf cards are trump cards. If he's putting in a king of hearts, that means that player doesn't have a trump card, which is bad because it distributes the trump cards on the other 2 players, so the green and the blue player, and they are more likely to have good and more trump cards, and they are more clustered to them, which is bad for us. As you can see, this first trick gave a lot of points, and it was 3 from an ober, so 2 obers is 6, a king is 4, so it's 10, and the ace gives 11, so this makes a total of 21 points already for the opposing party. Now the player on the right hand side has to open up the next trick round, and let's see where this is heading. So this player is opening up with hearts. Let's remove the trick. I was just counting again how much points there were. And of course we have to put in the 7 of hearts, because we don't have another choice, because we have to follow the suit if it's played out in the trick. Let's see, now this is also bad. As you can see, the player on the left, the yellow player, put in the king of hearts in the previous trick, which made him now free of hearts. And this allows him to not follow suit if hearts is played, because he doesn't have any hearts card anymore. And that allows him to play any card he or she wants. And this is really bad for us, because as you can see, an ace is a high point card, puts another 11 points in the trick. And of course from the top there is the ace of hearts, taking over the trick, winning the trick, putting them to a total of 21 points from the first, and now 22 points from the second, so a total of 43 points already, and this is really, really bad for us. So now there's hearts again. This, on the other hand, is good for us because, remember, the player to the left of us, so the player at the yellow position, doesn't have any trump cards. We know this from the first trick, because if you have a trump, you have to play it if trump is opened up in the trick round. And in the first trick, where we played the ober, he played the king of hearts. So we know that this player doesn't have any trump cards, and we are really, really safe to play now the 10 of leaves, which is a trump card, to win this trick, and we don't have to worry that the player to our left can win over the trick with another trump card because he or she doesn't have any. Okay, so now the next thing, we have to play another trump card and have to win another trick. The thing is, there are still a lot of unters on the table because we haven't seen a lot of them yet. And with our two obers, which are the highest at the table as of now, we know we can draw out the trumps which we need. So let's see how it goes. Putting down the first ober. Of course, the player to the left doesn't play a trump card because he's not having one. The player on the opposite side is playing the 8 in leaves, which is still a trump card. And the player on the right is playing the 7 of leaves. Now remember, now the 7, 8 of leaves is gone, as well as the ace and 10, because we played the 10 and the ace was played in the first trick. And we still have the king and 9 in our hand. So these are the remaining leaf cards. Also remember, aside from our ober, the ober of acorns, the ober of leaves, hearts and bells are also gone. So this leaves us with some unters sitting at the table. As you already know from the first trick, the opponent on the yellow side of the table doesn't have any trump cards. So whenever we play out a low trump card, the chances are high that this player is putting in a lot of points because this player is assuming that their allies are winning the trick. And now we try to find out where the remaining trump cards are. Because we know green and blue can still have trump cards, and now we have to find out where they are. The thing is, there are not a lot of trump cards remaining. I guess it's just 3 unters. So we need to pull out these trump cards accordingly. So first, let's put this low 9 of leaves, because with this 9 of leaves, we can draw out the remaining unters. And then if it works out well, the unters are distributed good to green and blue, and they have to take their trick respectively from each other. And the only one who is able to put in points is the yellow player. And this is why we put in the low card, because there are 3 unters remaining. And if we would put in the high ober first, then we would draw out an unter from green or blue respectively, and then the remaining unter is still at this player's position. And if we then put out another trump card, which would be the unter or the unter in bells, then another unter is higher than our unter and we would lose the trick. So we play this low trump card to get these 2 unters first in one trick, plus another points card from the yellow player, which would leave them just below the 60-point mark and giving us the only option to win this solo. So let's see how it works out. As you can see here, it just went out as we assumed it would happen. The left player is putting in a lot of points, as we said, and then there are these 2 unters falling into the same trick, which now, I guess the only trump card remaining is the unter in leaves, which should sit at the blue player's side. And now the green player has to open up, and we don't have to worry because, as it was previously, the yellow player doesn't have any trump cards, so we can easily win this trick with the king in leaves, which is a trump card, and the yellow player doesn't have trumps. And now we play the ober in acorns because there's 1 trump remaining which still poses a threat. And this is now drawn out. As you can see from the right hand side, the unter of leaves is coming, and now there isn't any trump card remaining and we can make the last trick. which leaves us at a total of 62 points. And thus we have won this solo. So the thing which you should take away from this is make assumptions based on the cards which have been played in the past and about the distribution of the trump cards at the other player's hands. This really helps to get a feeling for what you should do in the next trick round if you're starting to open it up. And as you have seen on the other tricks in the game, if a player at the table doesn't have any trump cards, also take this into account as well as the player's position, because this gives you the edge of playing low trump cards to win tricks, where otherwise you would have to decide, do I take the gamble and put in a low card and assume this player still have the suit? Or am I trying to win the trick with a high trump, but making my hand weaker for the next trick rounds to come? I hope this helped you out to figure out how you can play your solo next. And if you have any questions about this game party or Schafkopf in general, leave a comment down below. See you next time.